Yeah.
Hare Krishna.
Okay. Thank you. When Srila Prabhupada, he was such a sweet, loving, caring man. We all loved him, and we all remember stories that he told. And when he was a little boy, he went to the marketplace with his papa, and Papa was doing the shopping, and all of a sudden, Abai's throwing a big tantrum. He's kicking his legs, throwing himself on the ground, screaming. And Papa said, what's wrong with you? He said, I want to have a gun. And he said, oh, all right then, okay, let's go and find a gun for you. And he bought him a gun, and they're walking along, and he's talking to his friends. Then all of a sudden, Abba is down on the ground again and kicking his legs, screaming. Papa says, what's going on, Abba? He said, I want to have a gun. And he said, I bought you a gun. And he said, I want to have one for the other hand. So he's got two guns. So Papa had bought him a gun for one hand, and he wasn't satisfied until he had two. So Prabhupada used to sit there in his Vyasa and used to have this little belly, and he'd start laughing about all the naughty things he did when he was little. And his little belly would move, you know. And it was so sweet and wonderful to hear those stories that he told. I liked it very much myself to hear those stories. And one time I was in, well, I tell you about the time I got initiated. We were all of us in Amsterdam, 6 of us that were going to London to get initiated. I had joined only 2 months before, end of June 1971. And two months later was the end of August 1971. All the devotees were meant to meet Prabhupada at the Rath Yatra, and in probably around about July, but Prabhupada said he couldn't come because he was sick. So the new devotee candidates were a bit unhappy, but then Prabhupada came end of August 1971, and he was better. And so we all went there. I think there was probably 6 of us. We went, and I was relatively new. I'd only been in the movement 2 months. Anyway, we were walking, as we were walking out the door, they said I should go to see Srila Prabhupada. And I turned around to the temple president and I said to him, am I going to get initiated too, Dhananjaya? And he said, yes, you are. Anyway, so we went on the ship, not the ship, it was more a ferry to London. We went down to Den Haag with the train, and then we caught the ferry over to London. And then when we got to the other side to Dover, we had to catch another train to go up to London. And Prabhupada was initiating a country every day. So in England, he'd initiated the devotees in London, and the devotees in Edinburgh, and then it was the devotees in France, and next was the devotees in Amsterdam, and after that there was the devotees in Paris, France. And so we all came there. We'd never seen Prabhupada before. And the devotees that came there from Amsterdam, there was one from Holland, one from France, one from America, one from New Zealand, and one from England, and one from Australia. And so we all came in there. Prabhupada came downstairs to greet us. And the most amazing thing for all of us was how Prabhupada wasn't very tall. He was just over 5 foot. But because we'd heard so much about him, and we actually loved him even before we seen him, because of all the beautiful stories that were told. And so we got a big surprise to see Prabhupada, this little human body. But he was a powerful personality, that what he had to give us all, no man, even if he was 8 feet tall, could portray the spiritual wisdom like Srila Prabhupada. And so the first thing he said to us was, "Where are you from?" And we said, "We come from Amsterdam." And he said, "Did you have a nice trip on the ferry?" And we said, "Yes." And he said, Have you had any prasadam?" And we said, "Yes, Srila Prabhupada, we brought prasadam with us on the ferry." And he was very happy with that. Anyway, then I think then the next day it was time for us to get initiated. And so the London temple wasn't very big. It was very small, really. It was our first temple in the United Kingdom, actually, and in Europe. And so it was a rented temple, which Shamashunda had made beautiful carving, like an upside down ship, really. And Prabhupada had gotten Radha Londonishwar, a beautiful deity, first deities in Europe. And so on that day, it was the Amsterdam devotees, and I think there was 2 devotees from France as well. And each one of us had to go up in front of Prabhupada. But there was a big, big crowd, probably more than 50 devotees. So for everyone who got initiated, of course, everyone's looking right at you. And I remember when it was my turn to get up, I could feel everyone watching me. I was quite nervous. And got to Prabhupada, and he said, "What's your name?" And then he said, "What's the 4 regulated principles?" So he said the 4 regulated principles. How many rounds you should chant? 16 rounds every day and 25 on a Kaddish. And then he gives the beads, and he gave my beads, and he said, "Your name is Surabhi Devi Dasi, the name of the transcendental cow, giver of abundance of milk." And I just sat there for a few minutes, and he said to me, "Don't be afraid." He said, "If you follow this process, you'll go back home, back to Godhead at the end of your life." And to this day, I've never forgotten it. I often tell that story to inspire the devotees that just by saying following the process, we can go back home, back to Godhead at the end of our lives. And it's not hard. Krishna consciousness is wonderful and blissful. And somehow or other, even though during my life as a devotee, I've gone through the ups and downs, but I'm still here. And that's the most amazing thing for me, that after 53 years, I'm still here practicing Krishna consciousness every day. And that was a beautiful, loving father who had the time to give some beautiful instructions. And another time I went to Paris. At that time, the ladies and the men, they kind of sit kind of randomly nearby each other. It wasn't that segregation so much. And I got down there early. Prabhupada was coming down for a class, Srimad Bhagavatam class in the morning. And so I thought, I'm going to sit up the front, right close. I want to see Prabhupada. And when he at that time in Europe, we weren't pronouncing the Sanskrit as yet, but the devotees in America were. And I thought, oh, what's this, And Prabhupada read the Sanskrit verse. And then after that, he said men, and then they pronounced it. And then he said ladies. And I thought to myself, ladies? I'm looking around. I'm the only lady that's close to them. And I was so embarrassed. They gave me the book and I had to read the Sanskrit. Never really read Sanskrit before. Like completely, confident. Anyway, while I was reading it, all of a sudden Prabhupada started helping me to read the Sanskrit. And all I could think of was crawling under the carpet and hiding because I knew I couldn't say it properly. But Prabhupada, he kept on reading it with me, encouraging. In between, I said a word there, a word here. And with the big red face, it was all over. And then he said, very good. And I thought, oh my God, I was shocking. I couldn't say it at all. And he's telling me it was very good. And I thought, wow, how many people would do that? And every time I came across that sweetness of him, made me more and more attached to him. And he just cared about us all so much. And another time in 1975, which is coming up next year, the 50th anniversary. And that is the 50th anniversary of the installation of Radhasham Shundra, Krishna Balaram in Gaunitai. And we're going in Ram Navami next year in April. That's going to be the 50th anniversary. So that's the first time that the German devotees and myself, we went to India. And in the morning, Prabhupada would come down for class, he'd come for the greeting of the deities, and he'd circumambulate the temple room and the deity altar. At that time, where the museum is inside the temple, a little bit of an extension more, that was our temple. It wasn't very big at all. There was a few hundred devotees there. So when it was time to circumambulate the temple, Prabhupada would get up, he'd go around and come around the side, and there was a bell there. And he'd ring that bell up and down, up and down, up and down. And he had a smile on his face, and the devotees would go, Prabhupada, 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 Prabhupada. And Prabhupada would be smiling more. Then he went around another time. And each time he went around, he rang that bell. And the more times he did it, the more ecstatic the devotees became. And Prabhupada was just standing there ringing that bell, and you could see how ecstatic the devotee was. And he purposely rang it longer and longer and longer. And every time the devotee went, Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Prabhupada. And then he did it 4 times. And the last time, oh God, it was just heart-wrenching the way he did it. And each time his smile was getting bigger and bigger and bigger because he just loved to see the devotees becoming so ecstatic. I thought, this person is just so wonderful. It's just so amazing. And I'll never forget that pastime for the rest of my life. You can get it up on the I think on the YouTube. You write in Prabhupada in the bell. It'll come up. Yes. And during that time, it was from 1971, end of August 1971, until 1975 was the last time that I seen him. It just was every time. It was just so amazing. We used to travel from Germany to France to see him. Then I went to Amsterdam because I joined in Amsterdam. Then I went back to Amsterdam when they're having installation of Jagannath, Subhadra and Baladev. And about 15 years ago, I'd say it was, I went to the archives in Prabhupada village. And my godbrother, he said, do you have any photos of yourself with Srila Prabhupada? And I said, no, I don't. And I said, I don't think there is any. He went inside and he found one and he brought it out to me. And it was me with Srila Prabhupada in Amsterdam. I don't know if you've read it about the big fiasco of when he was trying to install the deities. When they were putting the deities on the altar was too short, so they had to pull the curtains around, bang, bang, bang behind the curtains to extend the altar. Prabhupada was pretty angry about the whole thing. And all the press came, but he was angry. And he didn't think, oh, the press is here, I shouldn't be angry. No, he was angry because they weren't serving Jagannath, Subhadra and Baladev. And that was more important than a press meeting, right? And so they had used all the yogurt and put it in the fruit salad. And see, I lived in Amsterdam for 8 months. And so I knew all the little shops around the temple, the milk shops. And I thought to myself, Prabhupada's angry. I have to do something. I've got to go and get some yogurt for him. And so I ran around to the different little shops. And they said, no, the temple bought all the yogurt. And I just got to one shop and they had a little tub of yogurt. So I came running back and I gave it to them and I said, this is for the Abhishek, for the Jagannath, Subhadra and Baladev. And then Kishori Mataji, she gave me this plate of fruit salad. And she said, you go in and give it to Prabhupada. He's so angry. I don't want to go there. So I went there and there's a big a photo of me with the biggest smile on my face, looking down at Prabhupada and giving him the tray of fruit. And Prabhupada's looking up at me with a big smile on his face. And even though he'd been so angry just a few minutes before, he knew, I'm 100% sure, that I had run around the street to find that yogurt so that Jagannath, Subhadra and Baladev could have an abhishek. And that's why he was looking up at me and smiling so nicely. So that was a wonderful experience. And we had a very nice time. We went to one of the big parks in Amsterdam. We put on a festival. And there's lots of photos of that too as well. And most of the time we used to go out on Harinam and give out books. But I don't know where Prabhupada was actually staying. He wouldn't have been staying at the temple. I probably got him a nice hotel. But it was such a wonderful experience, even though Prabhupada got angry. But all that anger was dissipated just by giving him that little tub of yogurt. And after that, we went back to Germany, and we spent 2 or 3 times going to France to see Prabhupada. The last time he was at New Mayapur, and he did initiations and everything there. And then he came to Germany, and famous photos, they're actually distributed all over the place. You often see them hanging on the wall in some temple or in a display or something like that. And Prabhupada really loved it there. You had this big old castle, Schloss Schwesterhof. And Prabhupada would come down every morning and evening and give class. And sometimes, if you were fortunate, you got to go on a morning walk with him. And I remember him coming back, and we were all in the foyer downstairs. The other devotees hadn't made it yet. And it was totally quiet as anything. And I just thought to myself, I should sing. So I started singing Namam Vishnu Padaya. And Prabhupada was climbing the stairs. He all of a sudden turned around and he nodded his head, like, thank you very much. And so these sweet things that Prabhupada did we never can forget them because they were so personal. And that's why we love Srila Prabhupada so much, because he was always there for us. We only might have seen him once every year, but that satisfied us so much because we just kept on remembering those special events. And we went to Denmark, and then we went to Sweden. And during the day, when Prabhupada was doing his translations and things like that, we used to go out on the street and distribute books. And one time in the evening, it was a program at the Uppsala University. And Prabhupada was talking about first-class man, second-class man, third-class man, and fourth-class man, and what the classes did. And this young fellow, he stood up and he said, and you, what class are you? And Prabhupada said, I'm fifth-class man. I am servant of all the classes. And the man immediately sat down because Prabhupada was just so humble. And I'm telling you this today, and this is last year, that was 50 years ago. 1973 it happened. And last year in Sweden, we had the 50th anniversary of Prabhupada coming to Sweden. And I remember Prabhupada would stay there and preach to different people. So they said to us, the Sankirtan devotees, we want you to go and do some Sankirtan. So we went over the border and we went to Finland. And we went there and we did quite well, just knocking on the doors and giving the people books. And then we decided, we'll go to Norway. So we went to Sweden, Finland, and Norway just on that trip. And then we went back on the ferry, all of us together, to go back to Germany. Yes. So, and then Prabhupada came in 1974, he came to Germany. And then in 1975 was a very big event. The Sankirtan devotees that have been going up for quite a few years, they got to go to India. And I had been looking after a team of ladies. There was about 5 of us, and we'd leave on Monday morning and come back on Saturday afternoon. And we'd go out all week and distribute books. And we had a VW bus, what Srila Prabhupada called them, a VW bus. And inside the bus, there was a platform in the back. And we'd put all the pots and pans and all the books under that platform. And in the night, we slept in that bus platform. All of us 5 girls, all stretched across. We were comfortable. And Prabhupada really liked that. He would tell everyone, do you know, in Germany, we have 8 VW buses. And he was so proud to tell everyone. And 4 Mercedes buses we have. And we're distributing our books all over Germany. And he was very proud of that. Still to this day, I laugh about his funny little accent and how he called them buses. You know. And then we went back then we were going to India. And because we'd done so much Sankirtan, then we got to go, and I was part of that team. And we went first to Mayapur. Mayapur was just new, and they started the first building where Srila Prabhupada was staying. And we lived over in the kitchen building right over near the fence line. And the ladies lived on the second floor. And we'd have little rooms, and we slept on the second floor, and then got up in the morning and went to Mangalati. In the morning, it was nice and cool. During the day, it was so hot. If you didn't have your shoes, which they stole in the first few days I was there, the Indians loved our shoes, and I just bought them before I left Germany. So you had to run fast to get over to the temple because you'd going to burn your feet. It was hot as anything. And one time, Pankajjanari gave 3 of us ladies some sheets to wash. And they were Srila Prabhupada's sheets that got covered over by the mats. You know, the mats, and then you put the white sheets on top. Well, he gave us those sheets and we took it over because we only had a kind of like an inventive tent. And that's where the lady bathed, did their washing, hung up the clothes. And it was cool in the mornings, but during the day it was very, very, very hot. And so then after we'd been there a couple of weeks and was Gorpanima, then they said, we're going to the next destination, which was Hyderabad, and we're going on a train. And so since Prabhupada was on that train too, we were all in second-class sleeper, and it was so hot. The brahmacharis, every time that the train stopped, they'd run over to the fire hydrant and pump out the water and put all over us. And the ladies were sitting in there going, oh, we're so hot, wish we could do that. Of course we couldn't. But Prabhupada was in the first class and he was traveling with us. And when we got to Hyderabad, we stayed at the Surabhi hotel with the Surabhi cows outside and Surabhi Dasi inside. And so Prabhupada said one day he wanted to go out to the farm, which was going to be donated to us, and he wanted us to see it. And so they picked randomly a few devotees to go because a lot of the ladies and the men, they got sick and they got dysentery. And so the few that were left, then we got to go out to the farm with Srila Prabhupada. And it was really, really nice. And there was a kind of like a lake so we could have a swim. And then Prabhupada had a rest and had prasadam. And then he came out and he started talking to us all. And every one of us could see that Prabhupada was talking to us. We thought he was talking to us individually, each person. And after he finished, the girls would go, did you see that? Prabhupada was talking right at me, to me. And I said, yes, I experienced that too. So Prabhupada was actually talking to all of us, but we thought he was talking just to us. So it was a wonderful experience. And then we went back to Hyderabad. And then we caught the train to Vrindavan, Mathura, and then to Vrindavan on the in the rickshaws. And that was the time when Prabhupada installed Krishna Balaram, Gaunitai, and Radha Shamsundar. That was in 1975 in Ram Navami. So that was a wonderful, wonderful event. So next year, if you get onto it now, you can book in and go to that festival because they're asking devotees to come. It's going to be a wonderful event. Not many of us will be around even for the 75th celebration, so we should take advantage of it. And if you're young, you might be here for the 100th. So this is a very, very special occasion, and I encourage you all to try to book your accommodation in advance and you can get to come because it's going to be a wonderful event. They're going to take us to the 7 holy pastimes of Krishna places. So they've got that on the list there. And yeah, lots of Prabhupada's disciples coming because we were all there. As many of us that are still alive still were there at that time. And we'll be telling wonderful stories to you all. So please try to come. You book your trains and book your accommodation to go there. There's lots of accommodation there at Vrindavan, but it's nearly 6 months till it's going to be on. So try your hardest to do that. Go out on a nice pilgrimage to Vrindavan and be just like reliving that whole wonderful time. So I suggest that you all come along. I can't see what time it is and how long I'm taking.
Krishna Mataji, is 7 p.m.
Beg your pardon?
It's 7 o'clock.
Oh, 7 o'clock already.
Yes.
All right. I'm probably going to have to leave it there. I'm sorry I can't talk too long. I've got to run down to the temple and offer a candle to Lord Damodar. And then I'm going to run all the way back up because there's another Zoom coming. One of my godbrothers is wanting to talk to me. So please, if anyone has a question or any ecstatic feelings of the lovely stories that we've told.
Hare Krishna Mataji, Dandavat Pranam. So we are excited to hear, Mataji, all your association with Srila Prabhupada and like how you have been completely devoted and till today you could able to still remember those pastimes exactly, and you have been very wonderfully narrating for all of us and giving your mercy. We really thank you very much, Mataji. So we would like to know how we can also become more enthusiastic and sincere in serving Srila Prabhupada's mission, Mataji.
Well, we have a big job to look after Prabhupada's mission. Prabhupada went through amazing experiences that he was able, from 1965 up until 1977, he was able to open up 108 temples. And this is very, very amazing. These days we're getting land and they're sitting there for years and years and years and not doing anything with it. And finally, after 25, 30 years, we're building our temple. But Prabhupada didn't wait. He just sent his disciples out to open up temples all over the place, in America, in Europe, in England, so many places. So we have to read these accounts of Srila Prabhupada's life and keep reminding us. How many of you have read Srila Prabhupada's life story? Out of how many of you are there?
3 participants, Mataji.
Yes. So I really love that you could do that. If you haven't read Prabhupada's life story, get a copy today or tomorrow and start reading it. And you'll really know who this person is that started this movement and saved our lives and wrote all those wonderful books. And Prabhupada wanted so much for us to read his books. But read the Lilamrita, get to know this beautiful person, and then you'll be inspired, so much inspired to read his books. Can you do that?
Yes, Mataji.
Would you do that?
Yes.
I think
Yes, Mataji.
Yes, Mataji.
it's very, very important. And so
Okay,
I
thank you
would
very much, Mataji.
yes. Follow
Anybody?
Prabhupada's instructions. Like he said, follow this process and you'll go back home, back to Godhead. So you've got to have a routine. You've got to become serious. Go to bed early. Get up early. Chant rounds before Mangalati. Then you'll get inspired. Right? That's the way to do it. You've got to be inspired. You've got to follow the process. You've got to take this seriously. You're not going to be standing at the end of your life or laying at the end of your life and you haven't taken this seriously and thinking you're going to go back to Godhead. It's not going to happen, right? So we have to be sincere. It's just like if one wants to be a good doctor, he associates with good doctors. And then he learns very well because they're serious and therefore he's able to become a good doctor. So it's the same with devotees. Associate with good devotees. Hear from Srila Prabhupada's disciples. They have so much nectar to tell you. To look after them. Give them, adopt them. Many of them don't even have a home to live in. So that every year, you're hearing every week or 2 weeks that one's passed away, and you haven't even met them all. I haven't even met them all. And I'm so sad when I hear that they've passed away, the ones I haven't met. They have so much nectar to give you. And if you hear these stories, you won't forget them. You know, when I tell the stories, the devotees come to me the next day, oh, that was a fabulous what you told about Prabhupada doing this and doing that and how much he loved his mother. And no, this is practical knowledge about the most wonderful person that we could ever meet in our life. And devotees say, but we haven't seen Prabhupada. I said, you can see Prabhupada. You just get the DVDs out and you listen to him. You get the films out and you see him on the morning walk, sitting there in the class, laughing. We didn't even ourselves get so much closeness to Srila Prabhupada as you all can. You can learn to love Srila Prabhupada just the same as we can, just by listening to him and seeing him and reading stories about him. So please do it. This is very, very important. And rise early before 4 a.m. Go to sleep early. 6 hours, go to sleep at 8 o'clock, not 7, and not 9, not 9:30, right? It's become a trend with these electronics. Even devotees are getting taken in by them and sit up for hours looking at these electronics, you know. But then you can't do it. You can't get up early if you don't go to bed early. So I have many devotees now. They're getting inspired by going to bed early, getting up early, and chanting rounds before Mangalarti. I tell them to do this. And they come up to me and they say, we've tried it. And I say to them, how many rounds have you chanted today? Before Mangalarti. Some say 2, some say 1, some say 4. One devotee the other day said 10. So try this, be inspired, and you will be very much quickly advancing in Krishna consciousness, because you'll become attached to this wonderful experience and you'll want to get up early and chant your rounds and be able to read every day. Please try it. And I hope when I come to Bengaluru that you all recognize me and come up and tell me that you listen to my class. I was there at the beginning of my journey. I've been in India now nearly 2.5 months. And I just go from temple to temple, especially to look after the ladies. And I'm meeting so many wonderful devotees, and also going to many different temples. Some of them I've never been to before. And some of them have never met a Prabhupada's disciple Mataji before. So I started that journey at the beginning of this year in February. And this is my second trip back. I think I've almost got to the 20 temples that I've never been to. So I'm taking upon myself that I'm going to try to visit every temple in India and outside of India, to come and visit you all and be inspired by me. So
Thank you so much, Mataji. We would be very eagerly waiting to have your association in Bangalore. And we would like to host you, Mataji. So please give us this opportunity for us.
And sometimes I get a bit cranky, but I promise Srila Prabhupada that I am going to bring his movement back to the way it used to be. We've gone through so much turmoil, but our movement needs healing. And I will give all my energy to the end of my life for that. And to encourage the devotees to chant the mantra properly and to keep the temples clean. There's so many important things. And I told Prabhupada that on the Vyasats puja this year. I sat there and I told him that I am going to help to bring your movement back to the way that you gave it to us, you know, and I'm going to help inspire the devotees to chant the mantra properly, not put in all these different words they're putting in there. And these things are very important because Srila Prabhupada, he didn't like these things. And so if we don't make the endeavor, then we're not going to please him. And so he wanted us to read his books. He said, please read my books and don't change anything. He said, I've given you everything now. When it was the end of his life, I just want you to go on the way I've taught you and don't change anything. So find out everything that Prabhupada gave us and make sure that you're on the team that is not changed anything and you continue on just as he has shown us. Right? Very, very important. Thank you very much. And I'll try my hardest to come to Bengaluru again.
Welcome, Mataji.
It's the beginning of the trip.
In our Radha Gopinath Circle group, we have 70 to 80% all are Matajis. So they are all eagerly waiting to take your association. And
I would love to do that. I would love to do that. I must go now because I have to take on the next student meeting.
Yeah,
I have to run to the temple real quick so I can give Radha Damodar a can.
okay.
And I'm sure you are all enjoying to do that yourselves.
Hare-
Thank you.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you.
We'll get to hear from each other again.
Dhanyavad.
Dandavat pranam vancha kalpatarubhyascha
Dandavad pranam Mataji.
Vaishnavebhyo namo namah. Thank you.
Hare Krishna Mataji. Hare Krishna Mataji. Dandavad pranam.
Mataji, Hare Krishna.
Praise Surabhi Mataji ki jai. Srila
Hare
Hare Krishna Mataji. Dandavad pranam.
Hare Krishna Mataji, Dandavat Pranam.
Hare Krishna Mataji. Dandavad pranam.